Chapter 2. The first difficulty was the magical wolves with eyes like stars. But the wolves did not attack, but first talked with the travelers. They wanted to know why these little heroes decided to undertake such a big adventure. When the animals explained their task, the wolves were so impressed by their courage and honesty that they showed them a safe path through the dark forest. Next they had to cross the river, which flowed in the wrong direction. The water was very cold and could make you forget where you were going. But the moon ghost, remembering the words of the sea princess, used a magic leaf to protect his friends from the spell of the river water, and they reached the other shore safely. When they came close to the tree with golden leaves, a huge cobweb blocked their path. Suddenly a giant spider appeared, the guardian of this tree. It was so big that it blocked out the sun. But instead of attacking, the spider started talking. He wanted to see how good their intentions were. Spider has not met real heroes for a long time, who would come to him not for themselves, but to help others. Realizing that the travelers wanted to do a good deed, the spider showed them the way to a tree with golden leaves. The animals were surprised by his beauty. Approaching the tree to pick a golden leaf, they heard it speak. The tree told them about a new trouble, this time on the moon. The bad guys have captured the moon, and the good lunatics really need the help of brave animals. To get the golden leaf and save the forest, you need to go on a new journey. Save the sleepwalkers, and then I can help you, said the tree. The animals couldn't believe that now they had to fly to the moon. It seemed even more incredible than all their past adventures. But, looking at each other, they realized that they could not give up. Their friendship and courage always helped them cope with any difficulties. We've already been through a lot together, and we'll get through this too, Moon Ghost said confidently. Seeing their determination, the tree summoned a magical rocket made from the light of stars and dreams. This rocket will take you to the moon. Be smart and brave, it said. The rocket stood at its roots, sparkling under the moonlight. Excitedly, the animals climbed into the magic rocket. As the last of them entered, the rocket shook slightly as it prepared to fly. And so, with dreams of freedom and goodness, the rocket rose into the sky, leaving behind a brilliant trail of star dust and hopes. Their amazing journey to the moon was just beginning. The rocket quickly rushed through outer space, leaving the Earth behind and approaching the moon. The animals looked with admiration through the windows at the endless blackness of space, strewn with twinkling stars. Suddenly, comets and asteroids appeared in their path. The rocket deftly maneuvered, dodging dangerous space objects. The moon ghost, sitting at the helm, skillfully controlled the rocket, while the rabbit monitored the instrument readings. After a long flight, they finally reached the moon. The rocket landed in a huge crater of an extinct volcano. The animals carefully walked out, setting foot on the lunar surface for the first time. Moon Ghost and Sparkle volunteered to go on a reconnaissance mission to a nearby town to learn more about the locals and their problems. However, upon entering the city, they were ambushed and captured by evil invaders. Dino and Lucky, concerned about the long absence of the cat and rabbit, decided to go in search of them. They carefully made their way through the narrow streets of the lunar city, trying not to attract attention to themselves. They soon discovered that their friends were being held captive in a gloomy fortress, guarded by evil invaders. Dino and Lucky hid in the shadows, watching the patrols and studying the security routine. They noticed that every day at a certain time most of the guards left for lunch, leaving only a small detachment to guard the prisoners. Friends developed a bold rescue plan. Dino, using his sharp teeth and powerful tail, would distract the guards while Lucky, thanks to his small size and agility, would sneak inside the fortress and free Moon Ghost and Sparkle. When the right moment came, Dino jumped out of hiding and began to growl and whip his tail, attracting the attention of the guards. The guards, who did not expect the appearance of a huge dinosaur, rushed after him. Meanwhile, Lucky slipped unnoticed past the remaining guards and made his way inside the fortress. He quickly found the cell where Moon Phantom and Sparkle were being held and, using his sharp teeth, chewed through the ropes that bound his friends. The freed Moon Ghost and Sparkle were very happy to see Lucky. Together they began to look for a way out of the fortress, trying not to catch the eye of the guards. Thanks to their ingenuity and resourcefulness, the friends managed to find a secret passage leading outside the fortress walls. Having got free, they met with Dino, who managed to break away from the chase and was waiting for them at the appointed place. Happy and grateful to each other, the animals hugged each other, rejoicing at their reunion. However, they understood that their mission was not over yet. Now they had to inspire local residents to fight against the invaders and help them overthrow their brutal rule. The beasts were determined to do whatever it took to bring freedom and justice to the moon. Brave friends, Moonlight Ghost, Sparkle, Dino and Lucky, together with an army of rebel lunatics, bravely fought against hordes of bandits. The animals showed miracles of courage and heroism, inspiring everyone around them with their example. The Moon Ghost, using his natural dexterity and cunning, quietly made his way into the very lair of the enemy. There he managed to track down the bandit leader. A fierce fight ensued between them, but in the end the Moon Ghost gained the upper hand and defeated the main villain. Upon learning of the death of their leader, the bandits lost heart and began to retreat. Many of them threw down their weapons and surrendered to the mercy of the victors. Soon the resistance of the invaders was finally broken, and the flags of freedom soared over the lunar cities. The sleepwalkers rejoiced. They were finally freed from the yoke of bandits and could breathe easy. A grand celebration began all over the moon in honor of the long-awaited victory. Residents of cities and villages danced in the streets, sang songs, and hugged each other. The animal heroes became the real saviors of the moon. The lunatics expressed endless gratitude to them for their courage, dedication and willingness to risk themselves for the sake of others. After all, it was thanks to friends that every inhabitant of the moon could now live freely and happily, having the right to life and the pursuit of their dreams. Moon Ghost, Sparkle, Dino and Lucky became honorary citizens of the moon. Monuments were erected in their honor, and legends were made about their exploits. Friends, although they were happy about this recognition, remained modest and said that they were only doing their duty. Since then, peace and tranquility have reigned on the moon. The former enemies forgot about their feuds and began to live as one friendly family. Every sleepwalker could work freely, raise children, enjoy life and strive for their own happiness. And all this thanks to the courage and resourcefulness of loyal friends who managed to unite the lunar people and lead them to freedom. After a while, the animals returned home to Earth, taking with them invaluable experience and faith in the triumph of good. New adventures and challenges awaited them, but they knew that no matter what happened, true friendship and love would always help overcome any difficulties and change the world for the better. One evening, when friends, Moon Ghost the cat, Sparkle the rabbit, Lucky the dog and Dino the dinosaur were passing through a mysterious forest, they discovered that they had come out into a completely different world than they had expected to find themselves in. Instead of a dark and eerie forest, they found themselves in a huge, sunny valley surrounded by high mountains. The animals looked around, amazed at the landscape that opened before them. Everything around them seemed unusually large. The trees were the size of small houses, and the grass under their feet reached almost to their chests. "Where are we?" Sparkle whispered, looking around cautiously. "I don't know," answered the Moon Ghost, "but this is definitely not our world. Look, everything around is so huge." Lucky wagged his tail happily. "How amazing! I wonder what awaits us here. Maybe we're in the land of giants?" Dino nodded, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Yes, it seems like that. We need to explore this place more closely. Maybe we'll find something interesting." The friends moved forward, carefully making their way through the tall grass. Soon they came to a wide path, along which, apparently, they often walked. The path led to a huge wooden gate that towered ahead. "Look, it seems like there's someone there," whispered the moon ghost, pointing to the gate. The friends froze, peering at the opening picture. Outside the gates one could see houses of incredible size, and walking along the path were creatures that seemed simply gigantic. "These are definitely giants," Lucky breathed out in admiration. "I wonder how they will perceive us." The moon ghost frowned. "I don't know, but we have to be careful. Giants can be dangerous. Let's watch them from afar for now before deciding what to do next." The animals hid behind tall stems of grass and began to carefully monitor what was happening outside the gate. They saw giants walking along the path, men, women and even children, all incredibly tall and large. Some were carrying huge baskets of fruits or vegetables, others were simply talking, laughing loudly. Suddenly the gates opened and a group of giants armed with long spears emerged. They walked in formation, clearly heading somewhere. "It looks like these are guards," whispered the moon ghost. "I wonder where they are going." The friends carefully followed them, trying to stay in the shadows and not attract attention to themselves. They walked for a long time until they found themselves at the foot of a huge castle rising on a hill. The guards entered the castle gates, and the friends hid in the tall grass, watching what was happening. Soon a giant came out of the castle, dressed in luxurious clothes, with a crown on his head. He was much taller and more massive than other giants and radiated an aura of power and grandeur. "This must be their king," Dino whispered. The animals carefully watched as the king gave orders to the guards, pointing somewhere to the side. Then he turned and walked majestically back into the castle. "I wonder what he needed," Lucky said thoughtfully. "I don't know, but it seems like we should follow the guards," replied the moon ghost. "Perhaps we can find out more about what is happening in this world." The friends carefully followed the guards, trying to keep their distance and not attract attention to themselves. They walked through fields, past huge farms and villages, until they came to the entrance to a dark, gloomy forest. The guards entered the forest, and their friends followed them, trying to keep up. Soon they found themselves in a small clearing where the guards stopped. Friends hid behind the trees, watching what was happening. In the clearing stood several giants, dressed in strange clothes, with facial features unusual for this world. They were talking animatedly about something with the royal guards. "Who is this?" Sparkle whispered. "They look not like locals." "I don't know, but it looks like they are agreeing on something," answered the moon ghost. "Let's try to get closer and listen." They carefully moved forward, trying not to make noise, crawled closer to the clearing and froze, listening to the conversation. "Yes, we are ready. Our people are already in position, waiting for the signal," said one of the strange giants. "Great. Once the king goes hunting, you will have to act quickly. Don't make mistakes," the guard replied. "Don't worry, everything will be done as you asked," the strange giant nodded. The friends looked at each other, amazed by what they heard. "It looks like they are preparing some kind of conspiracy against the king," Dino whispered. "Yes, and the guards seem to be involved in this," Lucky added. The moon ghost frowned. "We need to find out more, but now we have to get out of here before we are discovered." The animals carefully stepped back, trying not to make noise. They needed to get back to safety as soon as possible to think about what to do next. They silently made their way through the forest, trying to stay away from the path. Soon they found themselves at the edge of the forest, where it was a little safer. "What do we do?" Sparkle asked worriedly. "It looks like something is wrong in this world. We must somehow stop their plans." The moon ghost nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, you are right. We can't just walk away and leave everything as it is. But it would be too dangerous to intervene directly. We need a plan." Dino leaned forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "I think we should try to get into the castle and find out more about what's going on. Perhaps we can find a way to prevent the conspiracy." Lucky nodded in agreement. "Yes, that's a good idea. But how do we get there? The castle is guarded, and the giants are much larger than us. The moon ghost thought about it. I think I have a plan. We need to find a way to disguise ourselves in order to sneak into the castle unnoticed. And then we will act according to the circumstances. The friends nodded, full of determination. They knew that they would face a difficult test, but they were ready to take risks in order to thwart the evil plans and save this world. The moon ghost led the friends back into the forest, where they began to look for suitable materials for camouflage. They had to go through many trials before they could infiltrate the castle and uncover the conspiracy. But the animals were full of determination. They knew that only together they could overcome any difficulties and save this world from impending disaster. And so began their incredible adventures in the land of giants. The animals carefully moved forward, carefully looking around. They realized that they would have to go through many dangers to penetrate the castle and uncover the conspiracy. The first thing they needed to do was find suitable materials for camouflage. Moon Ghost suggested using branches, leaves and dirt to disguise their bright colors and make themselves less noticeable. Sparkle was a little nervous, but Lucky cheered him up, reminding him that they would get through everything together. Dino was full of enthusiasm and couldn't wait to get into the castle. Having collected everything they needed, the animals began to carefully make their way to the castle. They tried to move silently, hiding behind trees and bushes. From time to time they had to freeze in place when guards or giants passed by. Finally, they reached the castle walls. The friends looked around them, looking for a possible way inside. Suddenly, Moon Ghost noticed a small door that seemed to be barely guarded. "Here's our chance," he whispered. "We need to quickly and quietly get inside before we are noticed." The friends nodded and one by one they slipped through the door, finding themselves inside the castle. Now they had to find a way to penetrate the secret rooms and learn more about the conspiracy. They moved carefully along the corridors, trying not to attract attention to themselves. Sometimes they had to hide in niches or behind columns to avoid the guards. Finally they came to large doors behind which they assumed were secret rooms. The animals looked at each other, realizing that now they faced the most difficult and dangerous part of their mission. They took a deep breath and, gathering their courage, pulled the handles, opening the doors and preparing for what awaited them inside. The animals carefully pushed the doors and entered the dark room. It was quiet and deserted inside, but they felt that something was wrong here. Carefully looking around, they moved forward, trying not to make a sound. Suddenly, a tall figure stepped out of the shadows. It was a guard, dressed in dark clothes and with a sword at his belt. He noticed the intruders and immediately pulled out his weapon, preparing to attack. The Moon Ghost reacted quickly, thrusting its sharp claws forward. Sparkle pressed himself against the wall, trembling with fear. Lucky barked loudly, trying to distract the guard. And Dino, without hesitation, rushed forward, ready to fight back. A fierce battle began. The friends tried their best to defeat the guard, but he was a strong and experienced fighter. It looked like they were about to lose. But at the decisive moment, the Moon Ghost noticed a weak spot in the guard's defense and delivered a precise blow. The guard, uttering a final cry, collapsed to the floor. The friends froze for a moment, catching their breath. They did not expect that they would have to engage in such a dangerous battle. But now that the danger had passed, they felt a rush of adrenaline and determination to continue their mission. Carefully walking around the defeated guard, the friends moved on, ready to face any new challenges that awaited them behind these doors. The animals carefully moved on, leaving the defeated guard behind. They understood that new dangers awaited them in the land of giants, but they were determined to continue their adventure. Soon they came out into a huge hall, the ceiling of which was lost somewhere high above them. Giant statues lined the walls, and a massive throne stood in the middle of the hall. The friends froze, amazed by the grandeur of this place. But their admiration quickly turned to alarm when they heard loud footsteps approaching them. A huge figure appeared from behind the throne, a giant, dressed in luxurious clothes and hung with jewelry. His face was rough and stern, and there was cruelty in his eyes. "Who dared to invade my domain?" thundered his low, booming voice. The animals cowered, feeling fear gripping them. But the moon ghost, gathering all his courage, stepped forward. "Great Lord, we did not come here to harm you. We are just lost travelers looking for a way home. Could you help us?" The giant frowned, carefully examining the strange company. Then his lips stretched into a sinister grin. "Lost travelers, you say? Well, perhaps I can help you. But first you must prove that you are worthy of my help." The animals looked at each other, wondering what the giant was up to. They knew they had one more test to go through before they could return home. But they were ready to do whatever it took to get out of this dangerous place. The giant laughed, his thunderous laughter echoing throughout the hall. "So, little animals, are you ready to accept my challenge?" The friends clenched their fists and nodded decisively. They knew what lay ahead, but were determined to go through any ordeal to return home. The animals gathered their courage and prepared for the new test that the formidable giant had prepared for them. They understood that it would be dangerous, but there was nowhere to retreat. They had come too far to give up. The giant watched them from above with a satisfied grin. His huge hands clenched into fists, and his eyes sparkled with evil anticipation. "So, little beasts, here is your test," he roared. "In the very heart of my castle there is a sacred crystal that gives me strength and power. I want you to bring me this crystal, but the path to it is full of traps and monsters that will try to stop you." He laughed evilly, enjoying the fear that was visible on his friends' faces. "If you can get to the crystal and return it to me, I will fulfill any of your wishes. But if you fail," the giant narrowed his eyes ominously, "then you will remain in my castle forever, and I will make you my servants." The animals looked at each other, feeling goosebumps running down their backs. The task seemed impossible, but they knew that this was their only chance to return home. Gathering all his courage, Moon Ghost stepped forward. "We will accept your challenge, Great Lord. We will do everything to get the sacred crystal for you." The giant nodded with satisfaction. "Fine, then hit the road. But remember, if you fail, you will remain in my possession forever." With these words, he pointed to a side door leading into a dark corridor. The friends exchanged worried glances, but then resolutely headed towards the exit, ready to face any dangers that awaited them on the way to the sacred crystal. The corridor they entered was narrow and winding, lit only by dim torches that cast ominous shadows on the walls. The animals moved forward cautiously, looking around warily. They knew that they could encounter new monsters at any moment. Suddenly Dino froze, craning his neck and sniffing. "Guys, I smell some strange smell," he whispered. "It seems there is something ahead." The rest of the animals also tensed, ready for any danger. They moved forward slowly, trying not to make too much noise. And soon a huge figure appeared ahead, frozen in anticipation. It was a monster that looked like a giant spider, with many long, bony legs and a huge carcass covered with hair. Its eyes glowed with an ominous red light, and long, sharp fangs hung from its mouth. The friends froze, overcome with horror. They understood that this creature was one of those who guarded the path to the sacred crystal, and they had to fight this terrible monster in order to continue their journey. The moon ghost, gathering all his determination, stepped forward. "Guys, we have to go through. This monster is blocking our path to the crystal. We must defeat him to return home." The other friends nodded, although there was fear in their eyes. But they knew that there was nowhere to retreat. They would have to fight this monster, no matter what the cost. And then they rushed to the attack, ready to do anything to defeat the terrible arachnid guard and continue their dangerous journey. The animals rushed to attack the terrible spider-like monster blocking their path to the sacred crystal. Moon Ghost, driven by his determination to return home, was the first to rush forward, dodging the monster's long, bony paws. Sparkle, using his agility, accurately threw stones and branches at the monster, distracting its attention. And Lucky and Dino, joining forces, tried to reach the creature's vulnerable spots, biting and scratching it. The fight was brutal and bloody. The monster growled and squirmed, trying to throw off the small attackers. His huge fangs and sharp claws posed a mortal danger. But the friends did not give up, putting all their courage and unity into the battle. Finally, after a fierce battle, they managed to knock the monster to the ground. It let out a final, drawn-out howl and fell silent, defeated. The friends were breathing heavily, but pride in their victory shone in their eyes. The Moon Ghost looked around at his comrades. "You all fought well. Now we need to move on. The sacred crystal is waiting for us, and we must get it to return home." The others nodded in agreement. They were exhausted, but determined to continue their dangerous journey. Having encouraged each other, the friends moved forward along the dark corridor, ready to face any new challenges on the way to their cherished goal. New dangers and mysteries awaited them ahead, but they knew that together they could overcome any obstacles. They were united by strong friendship and the belief that they would definitely return home.